Der Stürmer was one of the most widely published magazines in Nazi Germany. It was an anti-Semitic tabloid, essentially, that was published every week by a man named Julius Streicher. And Streicher was a longtime Nazi.
It was kind of his obsession with Jews and anti-Semitism and sex that are very much characteristic of this newspaper. Every single article, every single issue is about Jews. Its goal was to promote anti-Semitism. It used kind of titillating stories. Often there's a kind of a gossipy part of this and all the negative Jewish stereotypes.
And Der Stürmer is filled with his obsessions and his hatreds. Basically, any form of anti-Semitism, any anti-Semitic lie or conspiracy theory that existed at the time was published in Der Stürmer. He spends a lot of time in cartoons and photographs in Der Stürmer showing that Jews supposedly looked different. He would commission photographs of people and then distort them more. He had a cartoonist who went by the name Phipps who would draw these really distorted images of Jewish people, disfigured people, claiming that they were Jewish. He talked about race defilement, or in German Rassenschande, all the time, which was the idea of a person who he considered to be German-blooded or ethnically German or from the Aryan race, having a sexual relationship with a Jewish person or someone he considered to be non-Aryan, not of German blood. And he considered this to be basically the worst thing that you could do. He thought it would weaken the strength of the German race. He thought it was basically a nefarious plot from Jewish people. And he loved to publish these types of stories. Sometimes the Germans actually called him the national pornographer because Der Stürmer is really not like a family-friendly magazine at all, right? There's lots of stories about sex and sexual encounters, and he also was obsessed with this idea that Jewish men were somehow sexual deviants or who were preying on non-Jewish German women.
What's interesting is that not all the Nazi Party officials or members approved of it. Many people thought this was a crude one-note newspaper. And there were those in the Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda that wanted to close it down. Goebbels, there was a publication that Streicher put out, which is commonly used today as kind of exemplifying the Streicher anti-Semitism, the so-called poisonous mushroom that was done for kids. And Goebbels' reaction to it was, how could the Fuhrer permit this publication to come out? It's so crude, and he didn't think much of it. He viewed it negatively. But Hitler had a lot of loyalty, let's say, to Streicher, because Streicher was somebody who supported him in the 1920s and 30s, who was loyal to him. And its circulation went up because, they heavily promoted it, but also because some organizations were compelled to buy it, subscriptions. But they also put it up on newspaper boards. So it reached a circulation that was bigger than that because you could go walk up and read it.
Der Stürmer is fascinating because it was everywhere in the sense that that's how Julius Streicher wanted it to be, right? That he encouraged people to build these display cabinets, essentially, that they would build at their business, at their home, at a bus stop, that would display the latest issues of Der Stürmer. You can see photographs of Germans reading Der Stürmer by standing and looking at this display case. So like anybody walking down the street, don't even have to have enough money to buy the magazine, you could read the latest copy.
But it appealed to kind of this lowbrow anti-Semitism. There were all kinds of letters that were written in that have actually survived, that were written to Streicher and Der Stürmer, talking about all these the wonderful stories that were put out in it. And often they would inform the editors of that paper about people in their local community who were still meeting with Jews, still, not buying into the whole Nazi anti-Semitism thing. And Der Stürmer would publish their names. And sometimes they would run into trouble because they would pick up on false rumors and say, oh, this person's Jewish. And they would run a series of articles, and then it turns out the person wasn't Jewish. And they would complain to the authorities about it. And, Streicher would be reprimanded. But, he continued to publish this.